I have wandered through this world.
Oh, did you hear that? Nod.
Yep.
No. Oh, you did. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to a wonderful afternoon here in Sababa land. This was supposed to be a trouble-free sort of lecture, but I think we're over all of that now. This is the final author reading of the Dr. Sababa series. And I'm going to repeat some of the things that I've more or less outlined in the first two presentations, just for those people who have never heard about Dr. Sababa. So, what is the Dr. Sababa series about? It's a savage satire about the fast-fading era of the medical savant, succeeded by committees, artificial intelligence algorithms, and the cult of collaboration, extinguishing forever the glory of the clinical knight errant. The first book author reading was in September of 2009, and it took me a year to write that book. The second author reading was in October of last year, and it took me a year to write that book. And this author reading in April obviously didn't take me a year, so I'm getting good at this. A couple of housekeeping details, the ones that Darby and Murray and I haven't already taken care of. You can ask questions via the chat or my website, and somebody will have to relay them to me because I can't hear you. Mute your mics, although you really probably don't have to at this point. There's a FAQ sheet that you can get by just going to my website. And I'd like to thank Murray and Darby for trying yet again to get me on properly, but clearly I'm a Luddite and I can't do this very well. So let's
You might have done
talk
better
about
last
fiction,
time.
because in my writing of these three books, the concept of fiction is extraordinarily important. Fiction is defined as literature in the form of prose, especially novels that describe imaginary events in people. So in my first book, I had a disclaimer. It says it's a work of fiction. Any similarity to any person dead or alive is purely coincidental and unintended. I mean it. In the second book, I said, I still mean it. And in the third book, I said, you bet I still mean it. So this is what's called a romantic play. It's kind of based on real events, but every character and some of the patient cases were, and there's 256 of them, were actually fictional. Why did I take so long to write this? Well, the topics are complex. It took me a year to just go through all my files. The characters are close to me. I did this job for over 30 years, and it felt like I was back there. One acquires perspective from distance, and I finally just ran out of reasons not to write the thing. So it's written. So in the case books of Dr. Sababa, you really need to know three things. What is Dr. Sababa? Where is Dr. Sababa? And who is Dr. Sababa? Dr. Sababa is a clinical assistant professor at the University of British Columbia. He practices, where is Dr. Sababa? He practices in Harbor City at the Harbor City Regional Hospital. He does some of his work, his best work, in the intensive care unit. And there is an actual bed from the Harbor City Regional Hospital ICU. After a night on call, Sababa's ICU room looks more like that. Sababa works in Harbor City Emergency. He works in the medical ward. And he also works at his office, where he has a residence room for his many residents. And where does Dr. Sababa live? He lives on a small homestead on a lake where they found piranha. Anyway, that's another story. And so, who is Dr. Sababa? Well, You might ask if Dr. Sababa is normal. Is he boring and uncharismatic? Is he obliging and humble and reverent? Is he selfless? Is he friendly and caring? Is he socially adept? Is he self-critical? And is he polite? Not quite. No, that's not him at all. Instead, he resembles other expert consultants, these two in particular, who are brought into cases that have proven too difficult for other investigators, who is able to think outside the box, who have mind-blowing observational abilities, deductive skills, and esoteric knowledge, who can realize a great number of facts just by looking at you, who know a lot about everything and have an extraordinary aptitude for small things, who are passionate about knowledge for its own sake, who unfortunately come to too rapid conclusions after the briefest examination of the circumstances, who are infinitely lazy unless something intrigues them, who are totally indifferent to the people they work for. They view clients or patients as annoying yet necessary variables, and they're committed to helping others just for the mystery itself, driven by the challenge to solve whatever puzzle is at hand, and they're good at it. So they're anti-heroes with the intellectual power to produce coherence and bring order. The critical element is the resolution of the puzzle rather than the restoration of the person. They are not patient or client-centered, they are puzzle-centered. And their personalities, as a result, are very unconventional. They're magnetic, charismatic, musical, condescending, arrogant, sarcastic, misanthropic, antisocial, self-indulgent, aloof, cold-blooded, scientific. They lack social skills, they rationalize their behavior, and they're brusque. So they have some different qualities. The inspiration for Sherlock Holmes was a physician by the name of Joseph Bell. The inspiration for Gregory House was Sherlock Holmes, House and Holmes. And nobody really knows what the inspiration was for Dr. Sababa. Their marital statuses are different. Holmes was single, House is separated, and I am fortunately still married. They live in different places. Holmes lived in London, House lives in Princeton, New Jersey, and Sababa lived in Harbor City, British Columbia. And their poisons are different. Sherlock Holmes loved cocaine, House liked hydrocodone, and Sababa is severely addicted to Pinot Noir. So Sababa's got a few things that these other guys don't have. He's got a Colombian leather briefcase. He's got a little black book of remedies. He has a Lippmann Master Cardiology black and brass stethoscope, a dimpled and dented white Honda Civic, and a music library on a secret drive hidden deep inside the hospital computer network. And as of last week, that M drive is still there with 5,000 songs on it. And don't tell anybody because I'm going to leave it as a legacy. So in his daily routine, Sababa encounters all kinds of humans in Harbor City. And some of the ones he encounters are challenges. They're adversarial sometimes. He encounters suits. He encounters snowflakes. He encounters charlatans. And this time, for the first time in the Dr. Sababa series, in the last casebook of Dr. Sababa, he encounters saboteurs. So the suits, you're all probably familiar with suits. They're a panel of experts. They like to get in between cause and effect, and they're heavily into process. They determine how you get to work in the system. Now, Sababa, in his infinite wisdom, had devised an equation of medical bureaucratic inequity, which goes like this. X is equal power over knowledge plus accountability. And in an ideal world, you'd want X equal to 1. You should only have enough power as your knowledge and accountability should allow you. Bureaucratic X is infinite, not so much because they have all the power, but because they have no knowledge and accountability. And physicians X is zero, not so much because they don't have infinite knowledge and accountability, but because they have no power. So snowflakes are certain kinds of patients that Sababa encounters. And they're probably some of the most humorous passages in any of the three books. Charlatans, there's lots of charlatans in Harbor City. And they occasionally are problematic for how Sababa needs to treat his patients. And then finally, in this book, there are two kinds of physician saboteurs. There is the doctor of greed and the doctor of narcissism, which you will meet through the book. Now, you might think that these challenges are problematic for Sababa, but he does kind of take them in stride, kind of, you know. So I'm just going to run through the cases in the three books, and I'm going to make a distinction here. The first book, the Casebook of Dr. Sababa, is actually two books. So the first volume has the Book of Spring and the Book of Summer. The next Casebook of Dr. Sababa is the Book of Autumn. And the last Casebook of Dr. Sababa it also contains two books, the Book of Winter and the Book of Void. And those 5 categories were coined by Miyamoto Musashi, who was a famous masterless samurai who Sababa always refers to. So these are the cases that you would have read about if you'd read the casebook, or if you have read the casebook, the original casebook of Dr. Sababa. There's the case of the ultimate artery, true story. The case of the broken heart, true story. The case of the Cornelian dilemma, also true. The case of the Parthian shot, again. The case of the syncopated rhythm, most of it's true. The case of the lush vegetation, true. The case of the flushed fisherman, true. The case of the melting man, true. The case of the pretty bird, true. The case of the Sumatran mosquito, very true. The case of the deadly tree, true. And the case of the double whammy, also true. So far we're off to a good start. The next casebook of Dr. Sababa has 6 cases. And you remember I said there's 256 cases in all these books? Well, these are the main cases in these chapters. The case of the universal veil, the case of the orange faller, the case of the tumescent tattoos. This is one of my favorite stories. The case of the Congo stain, the case from the crack of doom, and the case of the sensitive smurf. So now we're into new territory for all of you, pretty much. The last cases of Dr. Sababa. The case of the Aboriginal snowman, the case of the cedar shakes and shingles, the case of the ruptured rosary, the case of Ondine's curse, the case of the progressive paralysis, the case of the spicy schoolgirl, and the case of the painful playground. So guess which one I'm going to read from for today's reading? Well, you can't say anything, so I'm going to read you a passage from the case of the spicy schoolgirl, because it's a good passage, right? So a little background. In every book, Sababa has a resident from either from VIU or from Harvard or wherever. And his resident in this book is Alex Harding from Massachusetts, from Harvard Medical School. The spicy schoolgirl, actually, I have to sort of tell you what she had. She had nutmeg intoxication, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing to manage. But her boyfriend, this is Starlight. Her name is Starlight Trail, and she's a cheerleader at Cliffs of Dover High School. And her boyfriend is named Jules Bengay, and he comes in right after her with another problem. So let me tell you about it. How are you, Miles? Sababa asked. living the dream. Dreaming permits us to be quietly and safely insane every night of our lives, he said. You have our second case from last night? Uh-huh, Miles said. Jules Bengay, 18-year-old high school student, heads up the Cliffs of Dover football and ice hockey teams. They call him Captain Nosebleed. Quite the resume, Sababa said. Why is he here? His parents brought him in, Miles said. Found him short of breath and vomiting, with lightheadedness and ringing in his ears. We found him with a fast pulse and respiratory rate, clear lungs, and otherwise normal exam. But it was his lab results that got our attention. What about them? Alex asked. Turns out his fast respiratory rate was Kussmaul's breathing, Miles said. He was trying to blow off the excess acid in his bloodstream. Serum bicarb was 15, and his anion gap was 21. Alex mused. Anion gap metabolic acidosis and ringing in his ears. Did you do an aspirin level? Our thoughts exactly, Miles said. Salicylate poisoning. His first level came back at 4.924 millimoles per liter. 2 hours later, it was still 4.5619 millimoles per liter. We started a bicarb and potassium drip and went back to question him about it. And? Sababa asked. He denied it, Miles said. Swore up and down on a stack of Bibles that he didn't take an aspirin overdose. His parents supported him. Said they didn't keep any aspirin in the house. They've gone to work, but they said they'd be back later. Where is he? Bed 5, Miles said. I'll introduce you, but be forewarned. The only thing bigger than his ego is his attitude. A multitude of aptitude and rectitude, which will decide his altitude and plenitude, Sababa said. Behind Captain Nosebleed's curtain, his nurse was hanging another IV bag. What are his vitals now, Dinah? Sababa asked. He's afebrile, she said. You can see his heart rate and blood pressure on the monitor. And so you know, I haven't charted a true respiratory rate since nursing school. It's less than when he came in, Miles said. Jules, this is Dr. Sababa. He's a walking mass spectrometer. And this is his resident, Dr. Harding. Okay, Boomer. I've told him about how you claim to not having taken any aspirin, Miles said, despite your high blood levels. Bet, Jules said. Hello, 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 how low, Sababa sang. With the lights out, it's less dangerous. What are you singing, Sab? Miles asked. Yeah, Brew, Jules said. Something about that song makes me uncomfy. Smells like Teen Spirit, Sababa said. Closer than his toes than his head. Now what could be closer to the bottom than the top that would need a whole tube of Nirvana pain relief? Can't even, he said. Why are you pressed, bro? I don't believe you were trying to commit suicide, Jules, Sababa said, but I do think you were trying to see God. Extra, Jules said. You need to chill. That smell, gentlemen, is oil of wintergreen, an extract from Gaultheria procumbens, Sababa said. And Captain Nosebleed here has been rubbing it hard and fast where the sun don't shine. What do you mean, Jules protested. The active ingredient in oil of wintergreen is methyl salicylate, Sababa said, which gets hydrolyzed to salicylic acid in the gut. A 60 ml tube of over-the-counter rubefacient contains oil of wintergreen equal to 37 grams of aspirin, or about 114 adult aspirin tablets. Which one did you use, Jules? Icy hot pain-relieving cream, he said, but I didn't swallow it. No one says you did, Sababa said. But did you know that scrotal skin can have up to 40-fold greater absorption compared to other dermal regions? You're lucky you didn't get a chemical burn down there. How do you know all this stuff? Jules asked. It is my business to know what other people don't know, Sababa said. And now you know as well. You've discovered icy hot, and you found your Willie. So today's the day you get to learn about anion gap metabolic acidosis. Same condition that afflicted Charles II of Spain. Am I going to die? No, but you may wish you had. Sababa pulled a Monte Cristo No. 2 from his Colombian leather bag and handed it to the patient. I know of two parents who might think you're one of those people who would be enormously improved by death. You get that hickey from playing hooky from hockey? What's this, he asked. It's a Cuban cigar, Sababa said. A girl dreams about a bad boy who's gentle only for her. A boy wants a good girl who's naughty only for him. I still don't get it. Congratulations, Captain Nosebleed, Sababa said. You're a daddy. Iconic, Alex said. Eggnog and wintergreen, Sababa mused. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. So that's that one. Okay, so just a couple, we've got an airplane flying overhead, but just a couple of points, how to read the case books. You can read them on a lyrical level. You don't need a medical background to read the books. If you have any analytical bent, they're twice as enjoyable. But then you can skip both of those and you can go right to an existential level, because I think there's some high-minded principles that I'm trying to get across in these books, although I probably don't understand all of them. So where can you get the Dr. Sababa series? All over. Amazon is my go-to. You can get the print books, the ebooks, the audiobooks. There's a dozen other platforms. And then, of course, there's the Vancouver Island Regional Library System. And I have to thank Darby Lovett at my home base at North Island there for being such a wonderful sponsor for all of these books. If you have any questions, good luck to you. But I think Murray and Darby can probably transmit them to me in one form or another.
Yes, you can either type them in the chat or you can say them and then we will repeat them and Dr. Wink will hear us.
Might have to hold them up or get Murray to call me or something.
I'm going to call you, Wink.
Anyway, you can write them through this through my website, and I promise I'll get back to you individually. One of the questions you might ask is, where do we go from here? Because God, this is my 15th book. You know, you think something would have moved by now. Oh, hang on. Here's a question. Hello.
Hey, I'm gonna leave my phone open now so you can talk. So if anybody has any questions, you'll be able to hear them.
Okay, all righty. Does anybody have any questions?
Sharon asked, will you write any more books?
I hope to. I hope to. I've been lucky. You know, every time I thought I was going to disappear off the planet, I got to write another book. I know that's going to run out someday, but I've got 4 more in mind.
Any more details about the 4?
Yeah, I'm going to do 4 anthologies, an anthology of places I've known, an anthology of people I've known, an anthology of things I've known, and an anthology of ideas I've known. If I get that far, I'll be an old guy. So, you know, hopefully that'll work.
Jan is asking, are you the voice on your Audible books?
Who did the voices in my Audible book? I did. But you don't have to log in twice. You can just take them right off the Audible. And all the Audible sites all around the world, they've all got different reviews.
She looked happy, in case you didn't know.
He looks happy?
Jan looked happy.
Jan looks happy. Jan,
Yeah.
Oh, tell Jan she's in the last book, as is Vanessa. I met them on the trail around Westwood Lake, and I asked if they wanted to be in the book, and they said yes, so they're in it. Good luck. Okay, so I do have one more thing that I'm going to share with you that has just actually happened in the last week. It appears, and I don't want to crow too loudly because it might get heard south of the border, but it appears that we're in some kind of negotiation for a made-for-TV film and series for the Casebook of Dr. Sababa. So we'll get together next year and we'll see how that's gone.
Very exciting, Wink.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I thank you all for tuning in, and I'm sorry it wasn't as perfect as we'd like to make it, but hopefully you'll enjoy the books. And if you do, please post reviews, because I need some reviews. Okay. Have a lovely Sababa Land afternoon.
After my eyes have seen the years.